The 2015 Pan American Games, officially the XVII Pan American Games or the 17th Pan American Games, is a major international multi-sport event that is scheduled to be held from July 10 to Euro 26, 2015, in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, with some events held in 17 other Golden Horseshoe communities such as Hamilton and Markham among others. Approximately 6,000 athletes from 41 nations are expected to participate in 36 sports. The first event, water polo, will begin 3 days earlier, on July 7. Both the Pan American and Parapan American Games are being organized by the Toronto 2015 Organizing Committee. The 2015 Pan American Games will become the third Pan American Games hosted by Canada and the first by the province of Ontario. Previously, Canada hosted the 1967 Pan American Games and the 1999 Pan American Games, both in Winnipeg, Manitoba. The 2015 Parapan American Games will be held 12 days after the Pan American Games. Following Pan American Sports Organization tradition, Toronto Mayor Rob Ford and Canadian Minister for Sport Bal Gozal received the Pan American Sports Organization flag during the closing ceremony of the 2011 Pan American Games in Guadalajara, Mexico. The 2015 Pan American Games will become the first completely ecologically friendly games, because it will be fully carbon neutral. The Games will also be the largest multi-sport event ever to be held in Canada, double the size of the 2010 Winter Olympics in Vancouver. Bidding process. The Canadian Olympic Committee chose Toronto and the surrounding region as the Canadian candidate. No other Canadian city was given a chance to bid in a domestic race, and thus Toronto was selected without a vote. Toronto's interest in bidding came after failing to land the 1996 Summer Olympics and the 2008 Summer Olympics, which were held in Atlanta and Beijing respectively. On February 23, 2009, both Toronto City Council and Hamilton City Council approved the bid officially and confirmed their intentions to support the successful hosting of the event. The official bid book document was submitted to the Pan American Sports Organization on May 27, 2009. PASO made an evaluation visit to Toronto between August 30 and 31, 2009. The team analyzed the candidate city features and provided its feedback back to voting members of PASO. The evaluation committee was headed by Julio Maglian, a member of the IOC representing Uruguay and the head of FAR Copyright DAO Copyright Ration International de Natation, the International Swimming Federation. After the visit, Maglian said, "Toronto has all the conditions to play host to the Pan American Games." Toronto won the bidding process to host the Pan and Parapan American Games by a vote of the Pan American Sports Organization on November 6, 2009, at the PASO session held in Guadalajara, Mexico. The result was announced by PASO President Mario Val ZQUEZ Raw ±A. Toronto faced two other finalists shortlisted: Lima, Peru, and Bogotá, Colombia. Toronto earned 33 votes, while contesting candidate cities Lima and Bogotá received 11 and 7 votes, respectively. Development and preparation. The current politician responsible for this game is Michael Coteau, the minister responsible for the 2015 Pan and Parapan American Games. Previous ministers responsible for the games were Charles Sousa, Eric Hoskins, and Michael Chan. Venues. Toronto will become one of the most populous cities in history to hold the Pan American Games. In July, the month when the Games will be held, Toronto has an average mean temperature of 22.3 degrees Celsius and afternoon maximum average of 26.6 degrees Celsius. The average humidity is 74%, and the city averages 5 days with the temperature exceeding 30 degrees Celsius and about 65 millimeters of precipitation, mostly brief periods of showers and sometimes thunderstorms. Toronto's elevation is 112 am above sea level, which provides optimal and ideal conditions for athletes. In January 2012, the organizing committee announced that 60% of the originally proposed venues would be dropped, in favor of a clustering system seen at other multi-sport events such as the 2012 Summer Olympics in London, United Kingdom. The opening and closing ceremonies will be held at Rogers Centre. Some of the competition venues in the Toronto area included National Soccer Stadium, the Pan Am Field Hockey Centre, the Toronto Sports Centre and the Pan American and Parapan American Aquatics Centre and Field House. Competition venues outside the city of Toronto include the Hamilton Pan Am Soccer Stadium, Mississauga Sports Centre, Markham Pan Am Centre in Markham, the Washawa Boxing Centre in Washawa, and the Royal Canadian Henley Rowing Course in St. Catharines. Financing: the Toronto 2015 Organising Committee, along with all three levels of government, will spend about $1.4 billion Canadian dollars in upgrading and building new venues in the region. The provincial government and the Canadian federal government would provide 35% each of the funding, with the municipalities covering the remaining 30% of the cost. In addition, $1 billion Canadian dollars will be spent on building an athletes' village in the West Don Lands area of Toronto. Therefore, the total spent will be $2.4 billion, the highest ever spent for a Pan American Games. Later in 2011, Toronto's contribution to the Games almost doubled from $49.5 million to $96.5 million for several reasons. The athletics stadium was moved to York University from Hamilton, the soil was to be remediated at the University of Toronto's Scarborough where the proposed aquatic centre is supposed to be built, more money was needed for the proposed BMX track and the increase in inflation. $700 million Canadian dollars will be spent to build and renovate infrastructure in the region, about 3 times what was spent for the 2011 Pan American Games. Sponsorship: private sponsors currently include Chevrolet Canada. Another sponsorship deal with CAA South Central Ontario originally announced in January 2014 was subsequently terminated in May. Public transport: the Union Pearson Express, an airport rail link from Toronto Pearson International Airport to Union Station, is planned to open in advance of the Pan Am Games. In addition, a new GEO-Transit train station in Hamilton at James Street North will open in time for the Games. However, the extension of the €1 Ivor Spadina subway line to Vaughan Metropolitan Centre will not open in time. Public trails. In October 2013, an expansion of the Pan Am site was announced to help complete 250 kilometres in gaps in Ontario's Trans-Canada Trail and connect communities from Ottawa to Windsor and Fort Erie to Huntsville in time for the Games. Connections to the waterfront trail were expected to be expanded and complete gaps in the trail. Premier of Ontario Kathleen Wynne announced, the province is investing more than $3.5 million in Pan Am Parapan Am Trail to help create a continuous trail of more than 2,000 kilometers. Athletes Village. The Athletes Village will be located in the West Don Lands along Front Street between Bayview Avenue and Cherry Street. It will have the capacity to hold 10,000 athletes and officials during the Pan Am and Parapan Am Games and after the Games will be converted into housing. The development will be certified LEED Gold. Volunteers. The organization committee expects 20,000 volunteers will be required for Pan Am and Parapan Am Games. Ticketing. Ticket sales started in September 2014. The Games expect to have 1.4 million tickets for sale, with over 75% of them priced under $45. The first tranche of tickets was to be allocated via a lottery system. Countdown. Security. In April 2014 the Ontario Provincial Auditor General announced the launch of a value-for-money audit of the contract awarded to a US-based firm Contemporary Security Canada to provide security at the Games. The contract, at value of $81 million, was the highest bid submitted and $14 million more than the runner-up. In May 2014, Patrick Allen, the manager of Emergency Medical Services and Health and Safety for the Games, was let go. As of May 2014, the Ontario provincial government estimates that security will cost $239 million, more than twice the original estimate of $113 million. Medals. Torch Relay. An application period for Canadians to carry the torch opened in October 2014, to continue until December. The Games. Participating nations. All 41 nations of PASO are expected to compete. This represents a drop of 1 from the 2011 Pan American Games, as the Netherlands Antilles Olympic Committee was dissolved in 2011. The numbers in parentheses represents the number of participants qualified. Sports, a total of 36 sports, 52 disciplines and 365 medal events will be contested at the Games. Basque pelota is the only sport dropped from the last Games. Golf will be making its Pan American Games debut. Canoe slalom, the only Olympic discipline to never have been held at the Games, will also make its debut, meaning for the first time ever the entire Olympic program will be contested. Furthermore, both canoe disciplines will have C1 events for women for the first time ever. Women's baseball and rugby sevens will also make their debuts, with men's softball returning to the program, after last being contested in 2003. Numbers in parentheses indicate the number of medal events proposed to be contested in each sport discipline. Calendar. Broadcasting. Marketing, logo. Toronto's bid logo was launched on October 2, 2008, with the then Toronto Mayor David Miller and then head of the organizing committee David Peterson unveiling the logo to the public. The bid logo looks like an abstract maple leaf with 3 sections, each section made up of 2 strokes in the shape of a V with a spot in the center. The colors are green, red and blue. This was the official logo of the Games until 2010 when the new logo was launched. On September 29, 2010, the official logo of the Games was unveiled at a street party at Maple Leaf Square. According to Ian Troop, the Chief Executive Officer of Toronto 2015 Organizing Committee, the logo is designed on the basis of the different art styles seen throughout the countries of PASO. The colors in the logo are green, blue and orange. The logo has 3 distinct shapes each with one of the 3 colors. The bottom 2 represent OET and O, which represents the city in which the Games will be held, Toronto. The year 2015 is written inside the letters. Mascot, Packy the porcupine was selected by a panel of children who voted online. The design was created by 4 schoolgirls from Markham, Ontario, who derived the name Packy from a Japanese phrase meaning clapping with joy. Packy was designed with 41 quills, representing the attending nations, in 5 colors, representing the virtues, youth, passion, collaboration, determination and creativity. Scheduling concerns. The aquatics events at the 2015 Pan American Games are scheduled to be held roughly around the same time as the 2015 World Aquatics Championships scheduled in Kazan, Russia and the 2015 Summer Universiade in Gwangju, South Korea. The organizing committee's goal is to have the best athletes competing at the Games and thus the schedule for the other 4 aquatics disciplines had to be changed to accommodate athletes. The synchronized swimming competition actually was moved to the day before the opening ceremony. Diving events begin on the day of the opening ceremony. Open water swimming was moved to the first weekend of the Games and swimming was reduced to a 5-day schedule. All events are scheduled to be completed by July 18, the day before the opening ceremonies of the World Championships. Other events that might be impacted include the women's football event, which holds its World Cup and ends the Sunday before the opening ceremony. Toronto and Hamilton decided not to bid to host matches during the said World Cup due to a potential conflict with the Games. The Honda Indy Toronto Auto Race, held traditionally in mid-July at a street circuit near Exhibition Place, is expected to be affected for the 2015 edition. See also, 2015 Parapan American Games, references. External links, official website.